Right, so here's something that's been sitting here in our yard since the beginning of December, and it's time to open it up because, believe it or not, especially this year after the storm, it could make our life a lot easier. So let's get it unwrapped, let's put it together and see what it does. That's a heavy PTO shaft. And it's got a slip clutch in it as well. And that is the tunnel of doom. Right, so in the sunlight we have this kind of put together now. There's not much putting together on it. So this guy here bolts on to the end here and it faces downward, and you can see the reverse hooks that's on it here to hold your bag. You've got a handle here, you move from side to side, and that basically means you fill that side, then you fill this side, and swap back and forth as you please. That'll be used if you're cutting really light stuff and you want to bag it. That's the simple reason for that there. So we don't need that. We're not going to be bagging it today. The stuff we're doing will be a little bit more on the heavier side and be going straight into our stick house anyway. So, but it's there and it comes with these, and if you're bagging something, it would be handy. Now I was wondering which tractor to put it on. I know the distance between the PTO shaft and the machine is greater on the bigger tractor, and it means I'd have to cut less of this shaft. But originally I was going to stick it on this one, but I think actually now, looking at it, I'll put it on the bigger tractor, and that way we can draw sticks away with the smaller one on the front loader. Place is just here and right there. Alright, so now we've got our two shafts here. This is a slip clutch that's on this one, so if something did get jammed in the system, it'll allow the PTO to spin like a clutch in a car, putting your foot on a clutch. You have to be careful though not to let it spin for too long, because your clutch plates will burn out very quickly. You can replace them, but yeah, you just have to be wary of that. But there's a nipple here on this Hardy Spicer, which is this knuckle here, if you can see. Comes out. Perfect. So to measure a PTO shaft, I always measure 3 times, and 3 times is at the bottom, halfway up, and at its highest point, just to make sure that you have enough of clearance. And the way to measure it, because it's going to be very hard for me to bring a tape in here and show you with a camera at the same time, is you measure from the face side, and the implement side you measure to where the groove is. You see that little groove there? Turns out this is a total of 4 inches too long, so we need to pull this apart and take 2 inches off both sides. So we're going to strip back the plastic 2 inches first, and then we're going to take it the same amount of our steel. So the other one goes into this one, so you need to come along the inside, steel board in there as well, so the two will fit together nice and smooth. Beauty. Jesus Christ. No. I don't want to have to take this thing back off again, so I'll just put this little strap around. Try to take some of the weight of this because I don't want to end up getting a hernia. Right, we're getting some more. I'm going to take this cover off so I can tighten the bolts in the shaft. Now these bolts just pop in here now. They sit in when you move at a certain spot where the groove is. There it is. Bingo. Now this shaft was sitting on the bottom of the pallet, you remember seeing that. And one thing that was missing was the nut and split washer for the other bolt. It must have just vibrated off when the courier was delivering it here. So just pull this bolt off and see can we get a nut and a split washer in the house for it. First of all, get a split washer. Almost. Yeah, that's perfect. There's a lock nut. Yeah. Get in. Don't play act. Right, we're in. We're in. And that is just the chain to stop our PTO guard from moving. That just locks that in place so it can't move. Just going to put that in there. That's all. Alright, so this is the plug that comes with it. And you can see the bare wire on the end here, that's just ready to hook into, or put a splice on it and put two spade connectors and straight onto your joiner here. But just opening this here to see what this is like. This is the bit that goes on the end of your tractor. It's got the cap then to go over it when you're not using it. And we could drill a little hole in the mud guard. I'm not worried about doing that. Just add it to it if this hole is too big, which it probably is by looking at this. I decided to drop the mud guard, a couple of very rusty bolts, and now we have it dropped. And you can see our wiring. These are our switches in here. I would like to get new rubbers. Only can you get them separate. They're all completely perished. And what's going to happen is the water's going to go in, which is already happening into these switches. So I want to put a socket here that comes with this machine, and I was just looking, this hole here when I pulled this plug out is way too big. This thing will fit right through. Too small. Just about right, I think. But anyway, this fits in here. Locks into place. That's your guide drill. Ready to rock. Alright, be careful when you're using a Stanley knife to make sure you cut your fingers. Or don't cut your fingers, I meant. Alright, so there's the two wires exposed. Alright, so the wires that came with this are way too short. They're just soldered on, so I'm going to solder on two much longer wires onto this, and that'll allow me to get our wires up to here and hooked into this. That should be it. Just remove the old wire first. There it is. That's the old one out. So this guy here will plug in here. You line up the two dots. That's how we're on there. So we added some braided pipe here, but this is liquid insulated tape. So I'm going to add a layer of that around this just to waterproof it. It can't do any harm. It's good thick stuff and it dries. Cable tie that braided pipe, clip it to that there just to keep it secure. I'm not going to touch it till that dries, but that should keep that right. We have it all done and Hudson's flat out. Bet out from all the work he's been doing, and Dudlow's not too far behind him. So I want to just tell you very quickly how this machine came to land on our farm. I got an email back about, well over a year ago. A company called Remetcnc came on to me and asked me would I be interested in, first of all, trying a shredder machine. A machine that would just shred bushes and things on the farm, because here in Ireland we're not allowed to burn any greenery now, so shredders were getting quite popular. But they also had an option for this machine here, which is an RP200. I'm just trying to block that sun. First of all, I let the email sit, as I do with a lot of stuff. But it was actually my dad said it'd be a good job to actually try some of these things out and not always turn things away. So the conditions were quite simple. They just said, mention the machine, mention where people can get it, put it through its paces, put whatever you like through it, and give our honest opinion on it. So the company that does these are based in Tipperary, Clontrac.ie. I'll put a link just or thing across this page here so you can see what exactly, in case I'm not pronouncing it right. They stock these and kind of supply these all around Ireland. So if you need any more information, they've asked me to put the links in the description just because we're getting used to this machine. I know they have a wide range of everything from shredders to these style of things, and everything you could link up with processing timber. So you can go and check that out for yourself. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to kind of start chopping stuff up. So I was going to start off with some of this stuff here, which are old fencing posts. One thing you don't want to do with the lack of that is run anything through it with nails, and a lot of our fencing posts still have the insulators in them. So I'm going to go around now for a minute or two and take all of them out, and we're going to set it up here, and we're going to have a nice old rip on it first with light stuff, start off light and work our way up to heavier stuff. By the way, you can see why I was wiring that in the first place. This is a safety handle here, and if anything was to go wrong, you press it and that's it. That'll cut the PTO. We want to reset it, then you pull this little switch and a little roller pops back out again. That's it, reset. Right, I just put a pallet on the ground here because we've a hell of a slope down to where we're sitting. It might look level in the camera, but there's a serious slope coming down this way, and that's leveling it that when I put it fully down the ground, it's a little bit too low for me. So I'll put a pallet underneath it. We're going to just let it down on the ground now. Just lays it as more solid and it's up of the ground considering the slope that we're on. So there we have it. Now, it took a wee bit of time. This would have done everything I had to do in probably about 2 or 3 minutes. As quick as you could feed it, it will pop them out. But I'm going around as I do it and I'm trying to take out the nails. There's a lot of nails in these and I certainly don't want to run a nail through it. But I got rid of a lot of old posts that's there, and I'll spend a bit of time tonight after milking and take the bolts, like these things here, look. There's bolts and stuff on those, and to put that through it would destroy the blade. So I'm just going to take my time and go through the rest of that stuff, pick through it and get rid of it, because most of that is for flinging through there and nothing else. But what can I say about it so far? It's an awesome bit of kit, and I don't say that very often about anything that I demo. That stuff there is kind of half rotten, so we're being easy on it, but we'll not be easy on it tomorrow, because as soon as I get done milking in the morning, I'm going to put some ash through it and some fresh stuff through it and see what it does then. So far, thumbs up for cutting up old post bits of timber and things like that. It's certainly 10 times quicker than using a chainsaw, that's for sure, but let's see what it does tomorrow. We've got a few issues here, one of which is I see a barbed wire's all pulled out here. I do know I have to put a couple of posts in there. Fix that area with a big tree came down there last year. You might remember me on the channel. I think I videoed it. That's all clear now, but the wire's broken. I have to fix that. And we have another one came down here and also took the wire with it down here as well. Just completely annihilated itself. Oh, it actually broke out of the base of that tree there, so it's nearly just a big branch. A lot of rot there in the centre as well. So the thing is, there's going to be loads of this to be cleared up over the next few weeks. The other farm over beyond. There's a lot of trees down there, so there's going to be quite a bit of clearing it, fencing as well, then afterwards for all the wire that gets broke down. So it creates a lot of work, but it also creates a lot of firewood, most of which actually goes to my parents' house, so it'll please my mother, that's for sure. This is the kind of stuff I left here last year. It's not going to cut that stuff there, now that's way too thick, but it'll cut the leg of this here. It's borderline, but sure, look it. We'll fire through it and see what it does. So I'm only going to take a few bits and pieces of this just to test today, because I don't want to clat down here too much. You can see, look it. You would sink down if you stood in the one place for too long. Airland just take a long time to dry out versus that other lads you might see on YouTube or out piping or slurrying. You won't do that in Airland for a long time yet. It's heavy ground. You could dig down here, there could be 5 feet of topsoil. It takes a long time for it to dry out. I'm going to take what I have with me. I want to put a couple of fresh pieces in as well. So we've got a nice piece over here that's nice and clean and easy to get in at. So we'll tip up there, saw up a couple of branches of it and take that all home with us. But this is another branch here that's gone. You can see the state of that inside. So it's just rotten from the inside out. You can see the way it split the whole way down. See the crack running the whole way up the inside of that? It's running right up there to the top where them 2 limbs are there, and that's just rotten from the inside. So that tree there is going to completely fall very soon. I'm only going to take a couple of small pieces of this just to take home and run through it to see what it does. So before I do cut it up, my intentions will be is to cut up all the small stuff all around the farm, all the trees are down over the next couple of weeks, and leave them in lengths. And then when the ground allows, I'll take that machine into the fields and just actually block them where they sit, rather than having to handle them twice. You can put it on the other tractor, have the loader bucket already on, and do everything with the one tractor, bring it home and all. But just for the day's purposes and to test the thing out right, we're going to take a couple of these home with us now. Alright, so we're going to start off with 4-inch. Just over 5 inches, or 13 centimetres if you want to call it that way, so that's 3 centimetres off what is supposed to be recommended it can handle. Right, so there you have it. It made late work of that stuff. You can see here, some of the stuff broke up like this. It even split it in half, which is probably not a bad thing, but you can see a lot of that stuff has rot in the middle of it, and that's why it's split up. The leg of this stuff here that was good and fresh, that's the way it cuts it, just like that. So we cut there between 3 inches and about 5.5, maybe up to 6 inches. I think that last one we put in could have been 6 inches. Now, just before I do finish off here, I missed a bit of footage. I was looking through it last night and I lost a wee bit of footage. But this is where I drilled our hole. That's the socket you see me putting in. And what we connected it to was actually the wires from this knockoff switch here. So this cuts off the PTO shaft. So we wire it in there, so it's like having a second switch. This still works as it always worked. So this is just a secondary switch design, so it'll do the same for this. In about a month or so, when I'm able to get back out in the fields, we'll put a lot of stuff through this. So big thanks to Remetcnc for sending this out to us to try out, and to Clontrac as well, and giving us the know-how and setting it up and everything and using it. Let's go do something else.